brethren, this is Anthony with you, the Italian Bible-believing Jew, and welcome back to another video of refuting this heretical doctrine of the pre-tribulation rapture. Let's go to our main text in Matthew 24. Matthew 24 is about the end of the world. How do we know that? Because it says so in verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? You see that? I do believe the church will be in a gathering, or being caught up together to God after the tribulation, not raptured. The word rapture means entirely different. As said in the introductory video, we will be here for the tribulation, but not for the wrath of God, which falls in the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord has two parts, wrath and blessing. We are caught out in the day of Christ right after the sun and moon go dark. Let's read through these passages that I referenced in the first video. Isaiah 13, 9 through 11. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Joel 2, 30 through 31. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood. Note that, before the great and the terrible day of the Lord come. Acts 2, 19 through 21. And I will show wonders in heaven above, the signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. You see, he's referencing Joel 2, that we just read. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before that great and notable day of the Lord come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Lastly, Joel 3:15. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. How clear is that? Very. Now you might be thinking, well, what has this got to do with it, Brother Anthony? Okay, let's read some other passages. Our main text, Matthew 24, 29 through 31. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Mark 13, 24 through 27. But in those days, after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then shall he send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. Luke 21, 25. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sin, and the waves roaring. Now notice the three Gospels complement each other. These are the words of Jesus Christ. Also, compare to Matthew 24 with Revelation 6. This comparison is proof for the post-tribulation catching away of the church. We will see the first 5 seals of Revelation 6, and be taken out when the 6th one is broken, and the sun and the moon go dark, verses 12 through 13, as referenced in the first video. The tribulation is not the wrath of God. We are delivered from wrath through Jesus Christ, but we will go through the tribulation. That will be touched on in more depth in a later video in this series. One more time, let's do a comparison of Matthew 24, 29 through 31 with Revelation 6, 12 through 14. Are you ready for this? Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Revelation 6:12-14. And I beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. Do you see that? And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Christ told us about this so we would not be offended at him. Once again, John 16:1-7, 33, Matthew 13, parable of the sower and the seed. That's very clear, right? Lastly, in this video, let's consider this. Going back to Matthew 24 quickly. Not in one place in the scripture does any writer ever state very clearly, immediately before the tribulation of those days, Christ shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Again, I submit to you, not in one place does it state this anywhere. Oh, but Christ certainly did about after the tribulation. See these verses in Matthew 24:29-31 that we read already. In these verses, 3 questions that I would love to have an answer to. Who strongly believes in the pre-trib rapture? Please answer these questions. Why would God be so adamant to tell exactly in detail of what's going to happen for God's elect after the tribulation? 2. Why doesn't he bother to tell us exactly in detail what's going to happen for God's elect before it? 3. Did God make an oopsie and forget to tell us his plan in clear English? Is Jesus Christ stupid? Did he miss out on this pre-trib rapture? He sure didn't mention it anywhere in Matthew 24, or Mark, or Luke. That would be like him stating often in the Old Testament of his second coming, but not in the same clear way proclaim the virgin birth of his first arrival to die for the world. Very stupid indeed. Conclusion. Scripture in English, KJV, is very clear of this. You must accept Scripture literally before the meaning is understood. That's because it means exactly what it says. Matthew 24 alone refutes this erroneous notion that a pre-trib rapture, this magical taken away, is going to happen. Brethren, don't fall for this garbage. You know why you believe in this pre-trib rapture? Because you don't want to keep the commandments of God. Sabbath, dietary laws, and stuff like that, the moral laws that haven't changed. You want to have a little security blanket. That's all you want. You don't want to really keep the commandments of God because you don't want God telling you what to do. That's your problem. Alright, brethren, so love the Lord Jesus Christ, fear God and keep his commandments, refuse this pre-trib rapture heresy, and read the King James Bible. Thanks.